Train your brain for abundance. You can't live an abundant life with a poverty mindset. You can't expect overflow when your thoughts are still anchored in lack. The battle for abundance doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your mind, because before your hands can hold it, your mind must believe it's possible. Before you can walk in abundance, you must first think in abundance. Too many people are asking for more when they haven't renewed their thinking. They're praying for blessings while speaking words of limitation. You cannot attract abundance while entertaining thoughts of scarcity. You cannot step into overflow when you keep talking about just enough. The language of lack cancels the prayer for more. Your brain is a seedbed for your future. Whatever you plant in it will multiply. If you plant fear, you'll harvest hesitation. If you plant doubt, you'll reap delay. But if you plant faith, if you plant vision, if you plant gratitude, the harvest will overflow beyond what you imagine. Your brain is not your enemy, it's your tool. And when you train it to see abundance instead of insufficiency, you unlock heaven's resources. Abundance isn't about luxury, it's about mindset. It's about waking up every morning expecting divine provision. It's about believing that opportunities are chasing you down because you are aligned with purpose. You may not have everything you want, but you have everything you need to begin. The moment you shift your thoughts, the atmosphere around you shifts too. Stop letting your past dictate your potential. You've been programmed to survive, but now it's time to be reprogrammed to thrive. The same brain that held trauma can hold triumph. The same mind that entertained fear can now host faith. You don't need a new life, you need a new lens, because how you see determines what you receive. Speak abundance even when you don't see it. Declare increase even when you're in the valley. Think prosperity while walking through poverty, because when your mind aligns with faith, heaven aligns with your steps. You can't keep thinking small and expect God to bless big. You must enlarge your mental territory before your physical territory expands. Discipline your thoughts like a soldier trains for battle. When negativity rises, counterattack with truth. When fear whispers, silence it with faith. When comparison creeps in, remind yourself that abundance isn't competition, it's conviction. You're not fighting for what's yours. You're aligning your mind to receive what's already prepared. Abundance is not found in a bank account, but in a renewed mind. It's a decision, discipline, a declaration. The moment you choose to think differently, your life begins to flow differently. You'll start attracting what you believe you're worthy of. So today, train your brain. Stretch your thoughts, guard your words, and get ready, because abundance isn't coming to you, it's coming through you. Abundance is not a product of circumstance, it is a product of consciousness. It does not begin with what you have in your hands, it begins with what you believe in your heart and what you allow to dwell in your mind. The mind is the soil of destiny. Whatever you consistently plant in it will eventually take root and grow into the reality you live in. If your mind is filled with lack, fear, and doubt, then even in a season of opportunity, you will find yourself bound by limitation. If your mind is trained to expect increase, to anticipate opportunity, and to believe in the goodness of life, then abundance will find its way to you. Before anything ever appears in the physical realm, it is first conceived in thought. Every invention, every vision, every dream that ever changed the world started as a seed of thought in someone's mind. The same is true for your life. You cannot attract what you do not believe you deserve. You cannot receive what you have not imagined possible. The mind must see it before the hands can hold it. If you want to walk in abundance, you must first think abundantly. You must begin to retrain your mind to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to see possibilities where others see problems. The mind has incredible creative power. It responds to the beliefs and images you feed it. If you constantly tell yourself you are unworthy, that you will never have enough, that life is unfair, then your mind will create a world that mirrors that belief. You will subconsciously block opportunities because you've convinced yourself they are not meant for you. If you renew your thoughts and begin to declare that you are capable, that you are favored, that you are worthy of abundance, your mind will begin to open doors where there seem to be none. You will start to see chances, connections, blessings that were always there, but hidden behind the fog of negative thinking. Abundance does not start when your bank account grows. It starts when your mindset shifts. Some people live in houses filled with luxury, yet remain poor in spirit because their thoughts are chained to fear and comparison. Others may have little but live with joy, gratitude, and peace because their mind has been trained to see the goodness of life. Abundance is a posture of gratitude, not just possession. It's not what you have. It's how you think about what you have. When your mind is anchored in abundance, every small blessing feels like overflow. Every opportunity feels like favor. Every challenge feels like a stepping stone toward more. Your thoughts are magnetic. They draw to you experiences that match their frequency. If your thoughts are anchored in worry, you attract more to worry about. If your thoughts are anchored in gratitude and expectation, you attract more to celebrate. The moment you change the way you think, the world around you starts to shift. The atmosphere responds to the vibration of your thoughts. When your mind begins to overflow with faith, your words begin to carry power, and your actions begin to align with purpose. Suddenly, doors open not because they were never there, but because your mind was finally ready to see them. Problem for many people is not the lack of opportunity, but the lack of mental preparation. We pray for abundance, but our minds are still trained in scarcity. We ask for more, yet our thoughts are bound to just enough. You cannot hold new blessings with an old mindset. You must stretch your mental capacity to receive more. You must think beyond your current surroundings, beyond your current limitations, beyond what your past told you was possible. If your mind stays small, your world will stay small. But the moment your mind expands, your life expands with it. The battlefield of abundance is fought in your thoughts. Every day, voices of doubt try to whisper. You'll never make it. You don't have enough. People like you don't succeed. You must silence those lies with truth. You must counter those thoughts with declarations of faith. Tell yourself, I am more than enough. I am equipped for greatness. I am walking into overflow. The moment you shift your inner dialogue, your outer world begins to obey the new command. The same mind that carried pain can carry purpose. Same thoughts that once nurtured fear can now nurture faith. The same imagination that once replayed your failures can now envision your future. The mind is not your enemy, it's your greatest ally when trained correctly. But you must take responsibility for what you allow to take root. Don't let fear rent space in your thoughts. Don't let worry build a home in your head. Evict negativity and replace it with gratitude, vision, expectation. There is a rhythm to abundance, and your thoughts must learn to move in harmony with it. Abundance flows where peace resides. When your mind is at war with itself, when you constantly doubt your worth or compare your journey to someone else's, you block the flow. When your mind is centered, when you operate from faith instead of fear, you align yourself with divine supply. You start walking in a quiet confidence that no one can shake. That confidence becomes a magnet that draws abundance closer. It's not arrogance to think abundantly, it's alignment. It's agreeing with the truth that you were created with purpose and potential. You are not meant to live bound by fear, by lack, by the shadow of insufficiency. You were made to live in overflow of peace, love, creativity, joy, purpose. But you must train your mind to see yourself as worthy of it. Stop disqualifying yourself with doubt. Stop talking yourself out of blessings because they seem too big. The abundance you desire is already prepared for you, but your mind must be ready to receive it. Start by feeding your mind daily with truth. Read words that inspire growth. Speak affirmations that align with abundance. Visualize your future as already blessed. Every thought you entertain is either building your abundance or breaking it down. Choose carefully what you dwell on because your thoughts are the architects of your reality. The more you think abundance, the more you create space for it. When you begin to see the world through the lens of abundance, even closed doors begin to look like redirections, not rejections. You stop operating from fear of loss and start living in expectation of increase. You stop competing and start creating. You stop chasing and start attracting. That's the power of a mind trained for abundance. It doesn't wait for miracles. It becomes the environment where miracles manifest. So today, a conscious decision to shift your thinking. Refuse to let scarcity rule your thoughts. Begin to think bigger, dream wider, and believe deeper. Every great transformation begins in the unseen space of the mind. As you think, you become. As you believe, you build. As you train your thoughts toward abundance, you will begin to see it reflected in every area of your life. Abundance begins in the mind, not in money, not in status, not in possessions, but in a heart and mind that believes there is always more than enough. More grace, more love, more opportunity, more life. When your mind embraces that truth, abundance will no longer be something you chase. It will become something that naturally flows through you because you've aligned your thoughts with the infinite source of increase. Your life will begin to mirror the richness of your renewed mind. Everything around you will begin to rise to meet the level of your belief. The world you live in is a reflection of the words you speak. The atmosphere that surrounds you is often created by the language that flows from your lips. Your words carry power, more power than you often realize. Empty sounds that vanish into thin air, they're seeds, and every seed produces after its kind. If you speak fear, you will reap anxiety. If you speak doubt, you will harvest hesitation. But if you speak faith, hope, and expectation, you will begin to attract growth, opportunity, and favor. The words that come out of your mouth shape the reality that you walk in. From the very beginning of creation, words carried the authority to build and to break. The universe itself was spoken into existence. Light appeared because a word was released. The ground responded to command. Life responded to sound. That same creative power flows through you because you were created in the image of the one who speaks things into being. Every time you open your mouth, you are forming something, either a foundation or a fracture. The question is, what are your words building? Many people talk themselves out of the very blessings they pray for. They ask for abundance but speak lack. They desire healing but declare sickness. They pray for peace but constantly rehearse chaos. You cannot pray one way and speak another. Your words must align with your faith. Your faith will struggle to produce. Every time you release a word, you give life to an expectation. That expectation begins to move the unseen toward the seen. Your words are like a compass. They set direction for your destiny. You may not always realize it. Your words are painting your future. Each sentence is a brushstroke shaping the picture of your life. If you constantly talk about how difficult things are, unlucky you've been, how nothing ever works out for you, then you are reinforcing a reality of limitation. You are confirming to your subconscious that struggle is your normal. But when you start to declare that you are capable, that favor surrounds you. That breakthrough is coming. You begin to reprogram your mind and reframe your reality. Your language creates your lens, and your lens determines what you see. Words are containers of power. They carry either life or death, hope or despair, faith or fear. What you repeatedly speak becomes what you repeatedly experience. If you constantly say, "I'll never get out of this," life will agree with you. But if you declare, "This is not the end of me. This is preparing me for something greater," heaven and earth begin to rearrange themselves to make that declaration true. Your circumstances might not change overnight, but your atmosphere will shift and your mindset will strengthen. We often underestimate the creative authority we have through speech. We speak carelessly, not realizing that casual complaints and negative affirmations are shaping our inner world. Every time you say, "I'm so tired of this life," your spirit hears it and begins to align with fatigue. Every time you say, "I can't do this," your confidence withdraws. When you speak strength, even in weakness, when you declare victory while standing in the middle of the battle, your words send signals of resilience to your spirit and power rises up from within you. What you say about yourself matters. You are listening to your own voice more than anyone else's. You hear your words even when no one else does. If you constantly criticize yourself, speak failure over your dreams, or belittle your potential, you are destroying the architecture of your confidence. Stop cursing your own future with words of defeat. Begin to speak life over yourself. Speak to your purpose like it's alive, because it is. Tell your soul to rise. Tell your mind to believe again. Tell your heart that it's safe to hope again. The environment of your life is a mirror of your declarations. If you want peace, speak peace. If you want joy, speak joy. If you want abundance, speak abundance. Words are not magic, they are principles. When spoken in faith, they set in motion the invisible laws of creation. Even when your situation doesn't match your confession, don't stop speaking truth. The words you release today will shape the reality you walk into tomorrow. What you continually declare eventually becomes what you continually experience. Words can build bridges or walls. Some people speak so negatively that they isolate themselves from opportunity. They use their words to complain about what they don't have instead of giving thanks for what they do. Gratitude multiplies what you already possess. Complaining subtracts from it. When you say, "I don't have enough," your mind stops looking for ways to create more. But when you say, "I'm grateful for what I have and I believe more is coming," your spirit becomes open to receive abundance. You have to understand that your words set the atmosphere of your home, your relationships, and your destiny. If your speech is filled with bitterness, your environment will feel heavy. If your speech is filled with encouragement, your surroundings will come alive. You can change the temperature of your entire day by changing the words that come out of your mouth in the morning. Instead of saying, "I hate Mondays," try saying, "This is a new day and new opportunities await me." You will feel the shift immediately because your words direct your emotions. Words are also prophetic. They call things into being. When you speak in alignment with faith, you are not ignoring reality. You are declaring the higher truth. You are speaking to potential, not just current circumstance. You are telling your situation what it will become, not just describing what it is. Anyone can talk about what they see. People of faith speak about what will be. That's how you turn chaos into clarity, fear into faith, and lack into abundance. You cannot expect a victorious life while speaking the language of defeat. The words you use in private moments matter just as much as those you speak in public. Whisper faith over your fears. Speak peace over your storms. Declare purpose over your pain. Your words have the ability to transform atmospheres, break strongholds, and ignite hope where despair once lived. If you want to experience the power of transformation, start with your tongue. It's not just what you say to others, it's what you say to yourself that builds or breaks your inner world. The truth is, your mouth is a steering wheel. It turns your life in the direction of your declarations. If you keep saying you're stuck, you'll remain stuck. If you keep declaring that doors are opening, you'll start noticing possibilities you hadn't seen before. When your words and your faith come into agreement, miracles begin to move toward you. When your words contradict your belief, progress stalls. So choose your words wisely. They are instruments of creation, not toys of emotion. Never let frustration dictate your vocabulary. Even when life feels uncertain, discipline your tongue to speak life. The more you train your mouth to align with truth instead of feeling, the stronger your faith becomes. It's easy to talk faith when everything is going well. The real test is whether you can speak abundance in the face of lack, whether you can speak healing while in pain, whether you can declare victory while still standing in the middle of the battlefield. Those are the moments when your words carry the most power because they are backed by conviction, not comfort. So today, listen to the language of your life. What do your words reveal about your belief? You building or breaking? Are you declaring or doubting? Remember, your world is waiting for your words to give it direction. Speak life, speak abundance, speak strength, speak hope. Because the reality you live in tomorrow is being shaped by the words you speak today. Let your words rise higher than your circumstances. Let your declarations outgrow your fears. Let your speech reflect the future you are walking toward, not the struggle you are leaving behind. When your mouth and your mind come into agreement with faith, mountains move, doors open, and abundance flows. Speak wisely, because your words don't just describe your world, they create it. Everything you will ever become begins in your mind. Your brain is not just a vessel that holds memories, it is the garden where your destiny grows. Every thought you think, every image you visualize, every belief you nurture is a seed. And like any seed, it either grows or withers depending on what you feed it. If your brain is filled with negativity and self-doubt, the soil of your future becomes dry and barren. But if your brain is cultivated with faith, vision, and expectation, it becomes fertile ground for abundance, creativity, and purpose. You are the gardener of your own mind. Each day you are planting something, whether you realize it or not. Every word you repeat to yourself, every image you focus on, every conversation you entertain is either nurturing the harvest you desire or choking it out. Your future doesn't begin when opportunities arrive. It begins when your thoughts align with possibility. The condition of your inner soil determines the quality of your outer harvest. If your thinking is small, your future will be limited. If your thinking is expansive, your future will be filled with opportunity. The brain is the engine that drives your actions. It's also the soil where vision takes root. Before you can live a new life, you must first imagine it. Before you can hold abundance, you must first believe it's attainable. Too many people are trying to change their circumstances without changing their mindset. They are watering the wrong seeds, feeding fear, doubt, and insecurity, then wondering why their harvest is full of weeds. You can't grow fruit from a seed of fear. You can't expect confidence to blossom where insecurity is planted. The soil of your thoughts must be purified before your destiny can flourish. Your brain responds to what you repeatedly tell it. It's a magnificent system designed to adapt and grow based on what it's fed. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," your brain believes it. It begins to structure your perception and your behavior around that belief. But if you begin to declare, "I am capable, I am growing, I am destined for more," your brain begins to rewire itself to seek evidence of that truth. You begin to see opportunities that were always there but hidden beneath layers of mental limitation. This is why you must guard your thoughts as carefully as a farmer guards his field. You cannot allow every idea, every fear, every opinion of others to take root in your mind. Some thoughts must be pulled up by the root before they spread like weeds and choke your vision. You can't harvest peace while cultivating chaos. You can't reap joy while feeding resentment. Your brain cannot bring forth abundance if it's overcrowded with bitterness and regret. Every thought that enters your mind is a potential seed. Some bring life and others bring decay. Wisdom is knowing which to nurture and which to discard. Your brain is powerful beyond comprehension. It holds the capacity to create, to innovate, to overcome, and to transform. Yet so many people misuse this divine instrument by rehearsing pain instead of envisioning purpose. They replay failures like broken records, reinforcing old wounds instead of planting new dreams. What if you began to use your brain not as a museum for past hurts, but as a workshop for future breakthroughs? What if you replaced replaying old scenes with creating new ones? The moment you shift the focus of your mind, you begin to shift the direction of your destiny. Whatever you dwell on grows. If you spend your time meditating on problems, your problems expand. But if you train your mind to meditate on solutions, your possibilities expand. The brain cannot distinguish between imagination and experience. It believes what you consistently show it. That's why visualization, gratitude, and affirmations are powerful tools. They retrain the brain to expect abundance, to see progress even before it manifests. When your mind starts believing it, your behavior aligns and your future begins to unfold accordingly. Some people live their entire lives enslaved by untrained thoughts. They allow worry to dominate their mornings and fear to invade their nights. Their brain becomes overgrown with weeds of anxiety until no light of hope can reach through. Freedom begins the moment you decide to take control of your mental garden. Begin to pull out the weeds. Uproot every limiting belief. Replace every "I can't" with "I will." Replace every "I'm afraid" with "I'm capable." Your future is not waiting on a miracle. It's waiting on your mental renewal. The most fertile soil in the world can still yield nothing if it's never planted. Likewise, A brilliant mind that never dares to dream will never produce abundance. You must be intentional about what you plant in your mind. Feed it with learning. Water it with gratitude. Expose it to light through faith and positive surroundings. Every book you read, every voice you listen to, every idea you focus on, these are all nutrients for the soil of your future. You cannot expect a harvest of greatness if you constantly feed your brain with negativity and distraction. The brain is not static, it's trainable. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, but in simpler terms, it means you can rewire your thinking. You can reshape your habits, reform your focus, and renew your mind daily. Every time you choose to think differently, you're creating new pathways toward possibility. That's why discipline of thought is essential. You can't control every thought that enters, but you can control which ones stay. Thoughts are visitors. Only you decide who gets to move in. The future you desire is already within the capacity of your mind to create. Your ideas, your creativity, your strategies, all of them are seeds waiting for the right conditions to grow. But if your brain is cluttered with fear, those seeds remain buried and dormant. Start clearing the soil. Remove the clutter of overthinking, the stones of regret, the thorns of comparison. Make space for vision to breathe. Make room for divine inspiration to settle. The more you declutter your mind, the more clearly you will hear direction and insight. Every great transformation begins with a mental decision. You cannot elevate your life without elevating your thoughts. The brain is like a field. If you plant mediocrity, you will reap mediocrity. But if you plant excellence, faith, and vision, your harvest will overflow. Stop underestimating the power of your own mind. You have within you the capacity to create a life of meaning and abundance. Only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the pattern of your thinking. So take inventory of the seeds in your soil. What have you been planting in your mind lately? Are your thoughts nurturing growth or nurturing fear? Begin to take responsibility for your mental garden. Pull up what no longer serves you. Fertilize your brain with wisdom, hope, and perseverance. Protect your peace. Focus your attention on things that edify your soul and stretch your potential. When you train your brain to think abundance, your future cannot help but bloom in abundance. The mind is the birthplace of miracles. It's where faith is formed, vision is birthed, and destiny takes shape. What you see in your life is a reflection of what you've allowed to grow in your thoughts. You cannot live beyond what you believe. You cannot believe beyond what you think. So think higher, think deeper, think stronger. The future you desire is not far from you. It's already germinating inside your mind, waiting for you to nurture it with discipline, belief, and consistency. Your brain is the seedbed of your future. Protect it, cultivate it, water it with wisdom and faith. Refuse to let weeds of negativity suffocate the dreams planted within. Every great harvest begins with one small seed, and that seed is your thought. Plant intentionally, think abundantly, dream boldly, because when your brain becomes fertile ground for faith, your future becomes a field of endless possibility. There comes a point in life when you must decide that merely surviving is not enough. You were not created just to endure. You were created to expand, flourish, to thrive. Surviving is about making it through the day. Thriving is about owning the day. Surviving is about keeping your head above water. Thriving is about learning to walk on it. The transition from survival to thriving begins in your mindset, in that quiet decision to stop settling for endurance and start expecting excellence. So many people live in survival mode because life has conditioned them to do so. They have faced storms, heartbreak, rejection, and loss. Somewhere along the journey, they began to believe that enduring pain is all life has to offer. They wake up fighting, not building. They breathe, but they don't live. They've been surviving for so long that the idea of thriving feels foreign, almost dangerous. There is more to life than simply surviving. There is joy beyond pain, peace beyond chaos, and purpose beyond fear. Survival is instinctive. It's what we do when danger comes. But thriving is intentional. It's what we choose when danger has passed. Some people never leave survival mode because they don't realize the war is over. They've learned to fight so long that peace feels uncomfortable, gotten so used to scarcity that abundance feels suspicious. But survival was never meant to be a permanent address. It was a temporary shelter. You passed through it, but you were never meant to live there. When you are in survival mode, your thoughts are focused on getting by. You ask, how do I make it through this day? But when you shift into thriving, your question changes to, how do I make this day count? Survival is reactive. It waits for circumstances to dictate movement. Thriving is proactive. It moves with purpose regardless of the conditions. The one who thrives does not wait for perfect weather. Plants seeds even in uncertain seasons because they know growth comes to those who keep sowing. To shift from surviving to thriving, you must first recognize that the mindset of survival is rooted in fear. Fear tells you that you can't afford to dream, that you can't take risks, that you must stay small to stay safe. It convinces you that settling is security, but thriving requires faith. Faith that there is more, faith that you can handle growth, faith that abundance is not dangerous. The moment you choose faith over fear, your entire outlook begins to change. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start declaring, what if I succeed? Survival mode drains your energy because it keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-protection. You spend all your strength guarding yourself from pain instead of building a life that brings joy. You react to problems instead of creating solutions. Thriving, on the other hand, is about creation. It's about channeling that same energy you once used to endure into something that builds, something that multiplies, something that outlives you. It's no longer about holding on. It's about rising up. When you are surviving, your focus is narrow. You can only see what's immediately in front of you. But when you start thriving, your vision expands. You start thinking long-term. You begin to plan, to dream, to imagine beyond the present. You start to look at your pain as preparation, not punishment. You begin to recognize that everything you survived was training for the season of thriving you're stepping into. Every struggle gave you muscle. Every setback sharpened your focus. Every loss made you value life differently. Thriving doesn't ignore what you've been through. It redeems it. To thrive, you must rewire your inner dialogue. Stop saying, I'm doing my best just to make it. Start saying, I'm preparing myself to expand. Stop saying, I'm just trying to survive this season. Start saying, I'm mastering this season. The way you speak about your life determines the way you live it. Your words create your internal climate. If you constantly speak from a place of exhaustion, you will keep reliving it. If you begin to speak from a place of expectation, your environment begins to shift to match your belief. Thriving also requires rest, real rest, not just sleep. Survival mode tells you to keep running, keep pushing, keep grinding, even when you're depleted. It glorifies exhaustion as proof of worth. Thriving honors restoration. It understands that rest is sacred and that peace is a form of power. You cannot thrive in chaos. You cannot create from exhaustion. You must give yourself permission to pause, to heal, to breathe. Thriving comes when you no longer chase survival out of fear, but walk in abundance out of wisdom. Survival mode often keeps you in relationships, jobs, or environments that no longer nourish you. It tells you, at least it's familiar, at least you're safe. But thriving demands courage, the courage to step away from what's comfortable and reach for what's purposeful. It calls you to stop settling for what you've always known and to start pursuing what you truly deserve. Thriving requires boundaries. It means you no longer tolerate what drains your energy or diminishes your peace. You protect your growth because you understand it's sacred. When you start thriving, you begin to see life through the lens of gratitude, not fear. You stop counting what's missing and start celebrating what's present. You begin to live intentionally. You laugh more, you love deeper, you dream bolder. You stop apologizing for wanting more because you realize that more is not greed, it's growth. Thriving is not about having everything, it's about living fully in what you have. It's about finding meaning in the moment and joy in the journey. Thriving people understand that storms no longer threaten them, they strengthen them. They don't run from challenges, they rise through them. They use pain as fuel and loss as lesson. They build from the rubble and bloom from the ashes. Thriving does not mean life is perfect. It means you have learned to extract purpose from imperfection. It means you have learned to live beyond fear. Beyond scarcity, beyond self-doubt, you cannot thrive while clinging to old versions of yourself that were built for survival. The you that survived the storm is not the same you that will thrive in the sunlight. You must let go of old mindsets, release old fears, and shed old habits. Stop rehearsing pain and start rehearsing progress. Stop identifying with struggle and start identifying with strength. Your story doesn't end with what hurt you. It continues with how you heal and who you become afterward. The shift from survival to thriving doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. It begins with awareness, continues with courage, blossoms through consistency. Every time you choose joy over worry, you are thriving. Every time you choose gratitude over bitterness, you are thriving. Every time you take a step toward your purpose, even if it's small, you are thriving. Thriving is not about perfection. It's about progression. It's about living intentionally and refusing to let fear dictate your future. You've survived enough. You've proven your resilience. Now it's time to build, time to expand, time to create. You were not designed to live on defense forever. You were meant to live on purpose. The same strength that helped you survive is the same strength that will help you thrive. It just needs new direction. So lift your head, square your shoulders, breathe deeply. You made it through the fire. Now it's time to shine in the light. No more survival thinking. No more living just to make it through the day. Begin to live as if you were born for more, because you were. The shift starts now. Step out of survival and step boldly into thriving, because the season of just surviving is over. It's time to live fully, freely, and fearlessly. Your new chapter isn't about endurance. It's about expansion. You've already proven you can survive. Now, it's time to show the world you can thrive. Abundance is not accidental, it is intentional. It doesn't just happen to people who wish for it. It comes to those who can see it before it appears. Vision is the foundation of abundance. You cannot step into what you cannot see. You cannot possess what your mind refuses to picture. Vision is the bridge between your current reality and your divine potential. It allows you to live from the inside out, not the outside in. When you carry vision, you no longer wait for circumstances to align. You begin to align your mind, your faith, and your actions with what you see within. Abundance is not about material wealth. It's about mental clarity and spiritual expansion. It begins with the ability to see beyond limitation, beyond current resources, beyond the noise of your surroundings. Vision gives you permission to imagine more, stretches the borders of your thinking, and expands the possibilities of your living. Without vision, you settle. Without vision, you repeat the same cycles, live within the same boundaries, and accept the same limitations. But the moment vision awakens in you, something shifts. You begin to dream wider, pray bolder, move differently. Vision is the eyes of your spirit. It lets you see what your natural eyes cannot. It's the divine image planted in your soul that whispers, there is more. When everything around you says, you can't, vision says, watch me. When your circumstances scream, not enough, vision quietly insists, abundance is already within reach. Vision is what allows you to walk confidently even when you don't know every step ahead. It is faith in motion. It is the blueprint of abundance before the building is complete. The reason many people never experience true abundance is not because they lack resources, but because they lack vision. They look at what's missing instead of imagining what's possible. They focus on what they don't have instead of envisioning what they can create. Vision requires that you lift your eyes beyond your current condition and see the world through the lens of potential. It's not denial, it's divine perspective. Vision says, I might be here today, but I see where I'm going, and I'm preparing for it now. When you have vision, you stop waiting for someone else to open a door. You start building one. You stop asking for permission to dream. You start daring to do. Vision ignites creativity. It stirs purpose. It keeps you awake at night with ideas, plans, and strategies. Vision turns obstacles into opportunities because your focus is no longer on what's in the way, but on what's on the other side. Every person who walks in abundance first walked in vision. They saw what others couldn't see and believed what others wouldn't believe. Vision must be cultivated. It doesn't just appear fully formed. It grows as you grow. The clearer your mind, the sharper your vision becomes. That's why abundance requires not only faith, but focus. You can't nurture vision in chaos. You must learn to silence the noise of fear and doubt so that you can hear the whispers of possibility. Abundance doesn't respond to confusion. It responds to clarity, and clarity comes when you decide what you truly want, why you want it, what you're willing to do to bring it to life. Vision is the lens through which abundance is magnified. The more you focus on possibility, more opportunity reveals itself. If your vision is clouded by fear, every opportunity will look like a risk. But if your vision is clear with faith, even challenges will look like preparation. The difference between survival and abundance lies in what you see when you look at your situation. Survival says, I hope I make it. Vision says, I'm already on my way. Abundance flows toward the mind that is ready to receive it. That readiness is birthed through vision. When you can see yourself walking in purpose, you begin to align your actions with that image. When you can see yourself free from limitation, your decisions begin to reflect freedom instead of fear. Your behavior follows your vision. You cannot walk in abundance while mentally rehearsing lack. You must see increase to attract increase. You must see growth to experience growth. Power of vision is that it gives purpose to your process. Even when the journey is difficult, vision keeps you moving. It reminds you that the struggle is temporary, but the destination is eternal. Vision transforms waiting into preparation. It keeps you focused when distractions come and grounded when impatience tempts you to quit. Abundance does not come to those who merely desire it. It comes to those who can see the end from the beginning and keep walking until the invisible becomes visible. Vision requires courage. To truly see abundance, you must first confront the limitations in your own thinking. You must dare to believe that you deserve more, that you were made for more, that you are capable of handling more. Fear will always try to blind you with thoughts of inadequacy. Vision lifts you above fear. It says, I may not have it all figured out. I know I'm being guided. Vision sees abundance as a divine partnership. You dream it and heaven empowers it. Abundance without vision is waste. Many people receive blessings they are not prepared to handle because they never saw themselves as capable of managing more. That's why vision is not just about seeing what you want. It's about becoming who you need to be to sustain it. Vision shapes character. It disciplines thought. It teaches patience and maturity. Vision doesn't just prepare you to receive abundance. It prepares you to protect it. Because if you can't see the value of what's coming, you won't steward it well when it arrives. Vision gives direction to abundance. It tells your blessings where to go and your energy where to flow. Without vision, even great opportunities can lead to distraction. But with vision, every resource, every connection, every experience becomes purposeful. Vision acts as your internal compass, always guiding you toward alignment with your destiny. It's what allows you to say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things. You must also understand that vision grows through exposure. You cannot expand your sight if you never leave your comfort zone. If you only surround yourself with people who think small, your vision will shrink to fit your environment. But if you expose your mind to new ideas, new people, and new possibilities, your vision stretches. Abundance requires an expanded vision, one that refuses to be confined by where you've been and instead reaches toward where you're going. To live in abundance, you must learn to see yourself as already abundant. See yourself walking in peace, not worry. See yourself operating in purpose, confusion. See yourself surrounded by love, not loneliness. The images you hold in your mind become blueprints for your reality. You cannot build what you refuse to imagine. You must use the eyes of faith to visualize the life that aligns with your divine potential. So, guard your vision. Protect it from negativity. Don't share it with people who can't see beyond their own limitations. Vision is sacred. It's the language of destiny. It's the whisper that keeps you moving when nothing seems to make sense. It's the fire that burns quietly within when the world doubts your dream. Feed that vision daily with gratitude, discipline, and hope. Abundance will not visit the mind that refuses to dream. It will not stay where doubt is louder than destiny. It comes to those who can see the unseen and believe it's already theirs. Your life will rise to the level of your vision. If you can see greater, you can live greater. If you can envision abundance, you will attract abundance. Abundance requires vision because vision gives birth to faith, and faith gives life to manifestation. Everything you long for begins with what you see within. If you can hold it in your mind long enough, it will eventually manifest in your hands. So lift your eyes beyond where you are. Stretch your imagination beyond what you've known. Dream fearlessly, plan boldly, and live intentionally. For the life you envision today becomes the abundance you walk in tomorrow. Faith is not a feeling, it is a discipline. It is not an emotional high that visits you when life is easy. It is a spiritual muscle that must be trained every single day. Just like the body needs exercise to grow strong, the soul needs daily conditioning to build unwavering faith. Too many people want mountain-moving faith, but are unwilling to endure the daily training that produces it. They want unshakable confidence, yet they skip the quiet moments of trust that form its foundation. Faith doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in consistency. You cannot expect faith to stand strong in a storm if you haven't exercised it in the stillness. Faith must be worked, tested, and proven. Every challenge is an opportunity for training. Every delay is a chance to build endurance. Every disappointment is a classroom for deeper trust. That isn't tested cannot be trusted. And so, if you find yourself in seasons of uncertainty or silence, know this: heaven is training you. You are being stretched so that your faith can grow beyond what it has ever been. Faith is not built on emotion, but on decision. Every morning, you must decide to believe, even when your circumstances don't support it. You must decide to trust the process when the path is unclear. You must decide to speak words of victory when your reality still looks like defeat. That's what daily training looks like. It's waking up and choosing faith over fear, hope over despair, and gratitude over complaint. Faith is a choice. Choice must be renewed every day. Training your faith means feeding it the right diet. You can't expect to grow in faith if you keep consuming fear. You can't strengthen your spirit if you keep entertaining doubt. What you listen to, what you speak, what you meditate on either nourishes your faith or starves it. Faith thrives on the word, on truth, and on remembrance. When you remind yourself of past victories, your faith begins to rise again. When you fill your heart with promises instead of problems, your spirit becomes stronger. You are what you feed yourself. Faith is not an overnight miracle. It's a daily discipline. You must be willing to exercise patience, perseverance, and prayer. You can't build faith by only believing when it's easy. You build faith when you stand firm, even when everything inside you wants to give up. Training happens in repetition. Every time you trust instead of complain, your faith grows a little stronger. Every time you pray instead of panic, you build endurance. Every time you forgive instead of holding a grudge, your spiritual muscles expand. Many people want faith that can move mountains. They don't want to start by moving pebbles. They want the strength to conquer giants, but they neglect the small daily battles that prepare them for the big ones. Faith doesn't begin on the stage. It begins in the quiet places of surrender. It begins in the ordinary moments when no one is watching, when you decide to keep believing even after the answer hasn't come, when you choose to keep serving even when no one applauds, when you remain grateful even when nothing seems to change. Training your faith daily also means learning to control your thoughts. The battlefield of faith is always the mind. Doubt will whisper that you're wasting your time, that things will never change, that you're not good enough. But faith responds, I may not see it yet, I know it's coming. You can't stop doubt from knocking on the door, but you can refuse to let it move in. You can't silence every negative thought. You can replace it with truth. Training faith means refusing to surrender your mental territory to fear. Consistency is where the strength of faith is formed. Anyone can believe for a day, but can you believe every day? Can you keep trusting when the answer is delayed? Can you still give thanks when your prayer hasn't been answered? Daily faith is built in the long stretches of uncertainty where your only option is to trust. It's not the kind of faith that depends on signs. It's the kind that survives silence. It's not faith that waits for evidence. It's faith that creates evidence through endurance. Every great victory begins with small daily acts of faith. When you choose to believe that your life still has purpose after a setback, that's faith training. When you give generously, even when resources are low, that's faith training. When you wake up with hope after nights of tears, that's faith training. Every step you take in faith, no matter how small, strengthens the foundation for greater things. Faith grows emotion, it dies with stagnation. So keep moving, even if it's one step at a time. Sometimes God hides the outcome to strengthen your obedience. He could show you the full plan, but He doesn't. Because the journey of faith is meant to develop you, just deliver you. When you can't see the finish line, you learn to depend on His direction one step at a time. Faith is not seeing the entire staircase. It's taking the first step when you only see the next one. Each step trains your spirit to walk by faith, not by sight. Daily faith training also involves gratitude. Gratitude is the soil where faith grows best. When you give thanks for what you have, even when it's not everything you want, you open the door for more. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It reminds your heart that you've already survived worse and still came out standing. Every thank you is a declaration of faith that says, I believe more is on the way. Gratitude doesn't deny the struggle, it acknowledges the source. Faith must be trained daily because life will test it daily. Every challenge is an invitation to grow. You will face moments when everything seems uncertain. The future looks impossible, and when your strength feels drained, that's where training kicks in. Trained faith doesn't panic, it perseveres. Trained faith doesn't crumble, it adapts. Trained faith remembers that even when everything falls apart, the foundation still stands. Faith grows through obedience. When you act on what you believe, even in small ways, you strengthen your trust. Obedience is faith in motion. Sometimes it's not about understanding every detail. It's about taking the next right step and trusting that provision will meet you along the way. Every act of obedience builds your confidence that what you believe is real. There will be days when your faith feels weak, and that's okay. Muscles get tired. Rest doesn't mean retreat. Even in moments of fatigue, stay in the training. Pray through pain, declare through the doubt, hope through the hardship. Because faith is not the absence of weakness, it's the decision to rise despite it. Every time you push through resistance, your faith becomes more resilient. When you make faith a daily practice, it becomes part of your identity. It's no longer something you try to have. It's who you are. You become a person who believes even when the odds are against you, who stands firm when others give up, who speaks life when others speak fear. Becomes your reflex. Instead of reacting with worry, you respond with trust. Instead of surrendering to pressure, you lean into promise. So train your faith daily. Wake up every morning and feed it truth. Exercise it through prayer, obedience, and gratitude. Stretch it by stepping outside your comfort zone. Protect it from negativity. Strengthen it by surrounding yourself with people who believe bigger. Let your faith evolve through every season because each day of training prepares you for a greater tomorrow. Faith is not built in a moment of victory, but in the countless moments of endurance. It's trained in the waiting, sharpened in the trials, and proven in the storms. And when it's fully grown, it becomes unshakable. The kind of faith that doesn't bow to fear or crumble under pressure. The kind that says, even if I can't see it, I'll still believe it. Train your faith daily because your future depends on it. What you strengthen today will sustain you tomorrow. Faith is not a visitor, it's a lifestyle. When you practice it daily, it becomes the lens through which you see the world, the anchor that holds you steady, and the force that ushers abundance into every area of your life. Negativity is one of the greatest thieves of destiny. It is subtle, persuasive, and persistent. It whispers in the dark corners of your mind and convinces you that you are not enough, that your dream is too big, that your past disqualifies you from a brighter future. It shows up in the tone of your thoughts, in the language you speak to yourself, and in the atmosphere you allow around you. If you do not confront negativity, it will quietly build a home in your heart and shape your reality. To walk in abundance, purpose, and peace, you must learn not to negotiate with negativity, but to confront it head on. Negativity thrives in silence. You allow discouraging thoughts to linger unchallenged. They gain strength. The longer you allow them to stay, the more they start to sound like truth. They are lies, strategic lies designed to limit your faith, your confidence, and your power. The first step to confronting negativity is to recognize it. Don't ignore it, don't excuse it, and don't normalize it. Recognize when your thoughts are producing fear instead of faith, comparison instead of contentment, complaint instead of gratitude. Awareness is the doorway to transformation. You cannot fight what you refuse to face. You can't overcome what you pretend doesn't exist. Too many people try to outrun negativity rather than uproot it. But what you don't confront will always return stronger. Negativity feeds on avoidance. It loves when you smile on the outside but remain broken on the inside. Confrontation is not about being harsh. It's about being honest. You must be bold enough to tell yourself, these thoughts are not serving me. This fear is not leading me forward. This doubt is not my truth. That moment of confrontation is where healing begins. Negativity can come from within, or it can come from those around you. Some people carry a cloud of pessimism wherever they go. They speak words that drain your energy and cast shadows on your progress. If you are not careful, their negativity can become your inner voice. That's why boundaries are essential. You cannot let everyone speak into your spirit. Protect your peace as fiercely as you protect your purpose. You can love people without allowing their poison to shape your perspective. Sometimes confronting negativity means confronting relationships that no longer align with your growth. Negativity doesn't always announce itself with loud words. It can be disguised as realism. People will say, just being honest, or I'm just keeping it real, when in truth, they're feeding fear, not faith. Realism without hope becomes a prison. Faith doesn't deny reality, but it refuses to be defined by it. You have to train your mind to separate truth from toxicity. Yes, challenges exist, but so does strength. Yes, obstacles are real, but so is opportunity. Faith doesn't close its eyes to facts. It simply believes that facts don't have the final word. When negativity speaks, you must answer back with truth. Don't let toxic thoughts have the final say in your life. When your mind says, you can't, respond with, I already have everything I need to begin. When fear says, what if you fail? Answer, failure is only feedback for growth. Confrontation means taking control of the narrative inside your head. You are the gatekeeper of your thoughts. You decide which ones stay and which ones go every time you replace a negative thought with a positive declaration. You weaken the grip of doubt and strengthen the power of faith. Negativity also loves to attach itself to your past. It reminds you of your mistakes, your disappointments, your failures, and tries to convince you that history will repeat itself. But your past is not a prophecy, it's a classroom. You've learned lessons there, but you're not meant to live there. You confront negativity by declaring, that was me then, but this is me now. You may have fallen, but you got up. You got up. You may have lost, but you learned. You may have been broken, but you're still breathing. Scar is proof that you survived what tried to destroy you. Confronting negativity means refusing to let yesterday's pain dictate today's potential. Negativity also breeds in environments of complaint. When you constantly focus on what's wrong, you blind yourself to what's right. Complaining drains creativity and drowns gratitude. It trains your mind to expect disappointment rather than blessing. But when you confront that habit, when you start to shift from complaint to thanksgiving, your atmosphere changes. Gratitude silences negativity because it forces your focus toward what's working, not what's broken. You begin to realize that even in imperfection, there is still grace. Even in struggle, there is still progress. Even in delay, there is still development. Sometimes the hardest negativity to confront is the one you've lived with the longest, the inner critic. That voice that tells you you're not qualified, talented enough, not worthy of more. That voice didn't come from your creator. It came from fear, comparison, or someone else's projection. You've rehearsed those lies so long that they've started to sound familiar. But familiarity doesn't equal truth. You must break that inner agreement by speaking life over yourself every day. Tell yourself, I am capable, I am chosen, I am growing. Enough. You can't conquer what you keep repeating, so change the script in your mind. Confronting negativity also requires discipline. You can't expect positive outcomes while entertaining negative influences. Monitor what you watch, what you read, and what you consume. If your social feed is filled with anger, envy, or doubt, cleanse it. If your conversations constantly revolve around gossip or defeat, shift them. Energy flows where attention goes, and whatever you focus on will grow. You have to make a conscious choice to dwell on what's uplifting, empowering, edifying. That's how you retrain your atmosphere and reshape your perspective. Negativity is contagious, but so is faith. When you start to speak light, when you start to walk in confidence, when you start to carry joy in the face of adversity, you change not only your life, but the lives around you. Your courage becomes contagious. Your peace becomes power. Your optimism becomes inspiration. That's why confronting negativity is not just about protecting yourself. It's about influencing the world around you. People are watching how you respond to challenges, how you handle criticism, how you recover from setbacks. When you confront negativity and rise above it, you give others permission to do the same. Confrontation does not mean denial. You can acknowledge the presence of negativity without accepting its authority. You can say, yes, things are hard, and still declare, but I'm not giving up. You can face reality without surrendering to it. True strength lies in your ability to confront what's wrong while believing in what's right. That balance keeps your spirit grounded and your faith alive. When you confront negativity daily, you become more emotionally intelligent, spiritually resilient, and mentally disciplined. You stop reacting to every shadow and start responding with light. You no longer give power to every opinion, rumor, or fear. You learn that not every battle is worth fighting, but the battle for your peace always is. Confronting negativity is not a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. It's the ongoing decision to choose faith over fear, love over bitterness, hope over despair, and truth over lies. Life will always present opportunities for negativity to enter through disappointment, loss, or frustration, but you are not powerless. You have authority over your thoughts, your words, and your perspective. Every day you wake up, you have the chance to confront the darkness with light. You have the power to shift your inner climate, no matter the storm outside. And when you do, you begin to walk in true abundance, not because everything is perfect, but because your perspective is. So confront it. Don't let negativity sit quietly in your mind. Call it out. Replace it with faith-filled words, with gratitude, with truth. Build an environment within yourself that negativity cannot survive in, because abundance cannot grow in contaminated soil. If you want your life to flourish, cleanse the garden of your thoughts. Remove the weeds of doubt, the thorns of bitterness, and the shadows of fear. Speak life, think life, live life. Negativity must be confronted, not tolerated, not entertained, but defeated. Every time you choose to believe instead of doubt, you win. Every time you choose peace over panic, you rise. Every time you confront what's wrong and speak what's right, you strengthen your spirit. So stand tall, lift your head and declare, negativity has no place here. My mind is fertile ground for faith. My heart is guarded by gratitude. My words are building a future full of abundance. Abundance is not something you chase. It's something you align with. It is not a reward for effort alone. It is the natural flow of life when your thoughts, beliefs, and actions are in harmony with your divine purpose. Many people work tirelessly, striving to make things happen, yet they feel blocked, frustrated, or empty. The problem is not always in their effort. It's in their alignment. You can be busy, but not aligned. You can be productive, but not purposeful. True abundance begins the moment your inner world comes into agreement with the truth of who you are and what you were created to do. Alignment means that your heart, your mind, your words, and your actions are moving in the same direction. When your faith says one thing, but your fear says another, you create conflict within yourself. When your spirit dreams of abundance, but your thoughts speak lack, you disrupt the flow of blessing. Abundance doesn't flow into confusion, it flows into clarity. Just as water finds the path of least resistance, abundance flows through the life that is open, surrendered, and aligned with divine order. Alignment is not about perfection, it's about position. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to be positioned to receive. When your mind believes what your heart knows and your actions support what your spirit is saying, you begin to move in rhythm with divine timing. Things that once felt hard begin to happen with ease. Doors that were once closed begin to open. Opportunities start finding you, not because you forced them, but because you are in the flow. There is a peace that comes when you are aligned. You stop striving and start allowing. You stop begging for blessings and start embodying them. You understand that abundance is not an external event, but an internal awakening. It's not about chasing more, it's about becoming more. Alignment requires that you release the need to control and instead trust the process of divine orchestration. When you are aligned, you realize that everything you need is already within reach. Alignment begins with identity. You must know who you are before you can receive what's meant for you. Too many people live out of false identities, trying to prove, to impress, to please others, and wonder why they feel empty. Abundance cannot flow to a version of you that isn't authentic. The universe responds to authenticity, not imitation. When you walk in your truth, when you embrace your worth, when you operate from purpose instead of pressure, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance. The blessings that belong to you begin to find you because they recognize your true vibration. Alignment also requires surrender. Sometimes you have to stop forcing things to happen and trust that what's meant for you won't miss you. When you're misaligned, you'll find yourself chasing after opportunities that don't fit your soul, holding on to relationships that drain your energy, or pursuing goals that no longer serve your purpose. But when you are aligned, you learn to release what no longer flows with you. You stop clinging to what's familiar and make room for what's destined. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving over. It means saying, I trust the timing. I trust the process. I trust that my steps are ordered. Abundance flows through alignment because alignment creates clarity, and clarity creates attraction. When you are clear about who you are and what you want, you send a powerful signal to heaven and earth. You become a magnet for provision, people, and opportunities that match your purpose. But when you are scattered, thinking one thing, saying another, doing something else, you send mixed signals and the flow becomes disrupted. Consistency of thought and action unlocks divine momentum. Think of alignment as tuning an instrument. If even one string is off key, the sound is distorted. But when every string is tuned correctly, harmony is restored. Your life is the same. When your emotions, intentions, and actions are tuned to the right frequency, your reality begins to produce the melody of abundance. You can't play the song of success with the instrument of self-doubt. You can't expect harmony while living in inner conflict. Alignment is the process of bringing every part of you into agreement with your divine design. To walk in alignment, you must learn to listen. To your intuition, to your spirit, to the quiet nudges that guide you. Abundance doesn't always come through noise, it often whispers. It might come as a gentle prompting to take a step of faith, to let something go, to forgive, or to rest. When you ignore these signals, you drift out of alignment. But when you honor them, you strengthen your connection to the flow. The more you listen, the more sensitive you become to divine direction. Alignment also requires integrity. You can't expect abundance while living out of contradiction. You can't speak prosperity while thinking poverty. You can't pray for peace while entertaining chaos. You can't expect love while harboring resentment. Integrity means wholeness. It's when your inside matches your outside, when your intentions match your words, when your private life reflects your public one. Abundance responds to integrity because it is built on truth. When your life becomes unified in purpose and principle, the flow of blessing becomes consistent. Sometimes alignment will require separation. Not everyone can go with you where you're going. Some connections keep you tied to an old season that no longer fits your new flow. It's not personal. It's purposeful. You cannot move forward if you're constantly being pulled backward. When you're aligned, you'll begin to outgrow certain environments, mindsets, and habits. You'll feel an inner stirring that says, there's more. And you'll know it's time to release anything that no longer supports your expansion. Letting go isn't loss. It's alignment. Abundance also flows through emotional alignment. You cannot attract joy while harboring bitterness. You cannot manifest peace while holding on to worry. Your emotions are energy, and energy either blocks or allows the flow. When you confront your pain, heal your wounds, and forgive those who hurt you, you clear the channels for abundance to move freely. Healing is not weakness, it's preparation. It is the clearing of the inner clutter that makes room for divine overflow. Alignment doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means you become peaceful. Even in challenges, you remain grounded. Even in uncertainty, you remain centered. You no longer chase outcomes, you align with them. You trust that every delay has purpose, every detour has direction, and every setback is a setup for something greater. When your heart is aligned with faith, fear loses its grip. When your mind is aligned with gratitude, lack loses its power. And when your spirit is aligned with purpose, abundance becomes inevitable. Abundance flows where alignment lives. It's not luck, it's law. When you are out of alignment, you block the flow. When you are in alignment, you open the floodgates. You begin to notice that opportunities arise with less struggle, relationships feel more harmonious, and ideas flow effortlessly. You realize that the same energy you once used to chase things now draws them to you. The shift is subtle but powerful. You move from forcing to flowing, from striving to receiving, from scarcity to sufficiency. Am I aligned with what I'm asking for? If you're praying for abundance, your thoughts abundant. If you're declaring increase, are your habits consistent with growth? If you're believing for peace, you creating peace in your environment. Alignment is a mirror. It reflects your inner state. The outside will never change until the inside is aligned. Abundance is not earned, it's accessed. It's the byproduct of harmony between who you are and what you do, between your beliefs and your behavior, between your faith and your focus. When all parts of you agree, nothing can stop the flow. You don't have to chase what you attract naturally. All you have to do is align mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and the flow of abundance will follow. So today, release the resistance. Stop forcing outcomes. Get in sync with your truth. Tune your thoughts to gratitude, your actions to purpose, and your heart to peace. Because when you are aligned, abundance doesn't need to be pursued. It pours. It doesn't trickle. It overflows. It doesn't delay. It finds its way straight to you. Abundance doesn't chase confusion. It flows through clarity, through conviction, through divine alignment.